Hey everybody, welcome to another rap edition of Anarchast. I've got a great guest. I saw him rapping quite a while ago, like 6 months ago. Great rap called the Ancap rap, and it was really good. And this comes from an old school rapper like me, who was the number 2 white rapper in Canada in 1989. But I still do like rap, and I still follow it. And I was like, whoa, this guy is seriously good. And his lyrics in the track were even better. I'll play a clip of it now so you can see.
Yo, the politician will easily mention a lie cause he counting you don't know the truth. You tender probably why you swiping left at the voter booth. Emotional cast, voting on wag quotables. It's supposed to be a polling move, you vote for who is owning you. Y'all must be too dumb or blind to see it get robbed by some guys that's heathens. Your mind's defeated, you high cause you think this guy's a genius. You let him tax you for breathing minus the breathing. You're a jackwagon, so beat it. So be it, I'm never against some nice movement, but if the state call it free, it got a price to it. You claim to be against more slavery, but yet you want the state to confiscate fruits of labor, and it's fake to me. The government's in $18 trillion worth of debt. Forgive me if I don't trust them with my check. Pissing money by the sec, and it's dumb kinda. What kind of dumbfounded clown gladly fund irresponsible warmongers? Democrats act like they the party of peace, while Obama's bombing babies in the streets, and it's weak. They sending drones blowing up hospitals and doctors. Not a lot of difference from a Bush than Barack, cause it's very evident the current president is not retarded. He's smart like a con artist. Bombarded all the airways, flip-flopping like a dolphin, like the White House with rainbows, so they could get the gay vote and say no. I just see right through the foolishness. We vote for who the ruler is, then pierce when dudes abusing it. The state is cry about police brutality, but wait a minute, that's statism. You made that bed so late in it when 8 stitches applied to some black guy with a busted lip and black eye who was beat up by some whack cop cause he didn't want to comply. And you can say that black lives matter, but why we vote for a Democrat who want bigger government than that? Pro-black buffoon, I laugh cause you calling people coons. Look at what your voting habits do. Democrats and white liberals are owning you. Run one of your cities into the ground, and I'd assume that you get it now. They've been holding office since the 60s now. You catapult them into power, you get nothing out of how stupid can you be? Republicans might suck, but they don't hold down office in black cities. The government has forever opposed black folks. Okay, let's go further, expand that note. From Jim Crow, slave codes, and black codes, the state has always been used to keep us in a lasso. Yet you got these foolish black intellectual dummies making money off cunning blacks. It's funny. On MSNBC speaking on how you need government, then turn around and telling you that they the ones oppressing you, you better move. Social justice warrior activists, I write them off. They more PC than Microsoft. Bit of it, I'm sick of it, oh yeah. Bernie Sanders isn't economic illiterate. Sorry, but I can't forget this old hag is so sad, you're so famous. It's almost like you get a bone off taxation and that payments. Democratic socialist nonsense, let's call him what he is. He's a communist with no common sense. Obsessed with Scandinavian nations who ain't got a bigger population than the DM Dub, that's a fact statement. Bernie's the only one that cares, and I don't understand economics, so I blame the problems on the free market and the 1%. Tax cuts and trickle down doesn't work. I know I don't know, and I should probably do some research. I have a right to all things, healthcare, welfare. I have no problem being owned by government. Well, I do. You can say corporation 90 times repeating it, and parrot Robert Reich, Paul Krugman, and Nikizian, but that don't change the fact that you just highlight all your ignorance. Intellectually lazy, can't back what you fibbing in, you stupid yet loyal. Existence of the state is immoral. You bending on your knees for who is royal. Not surprising, claim to be humanitarian, but ideas are forced by the monopoly of violence. Is fake. For the government to give, it must take. The social contract is what you say. But wait, I gave you no consent to take my wage, so that means that that's not a voluntary exchange. You stole from me. Your money's your money. I don't owe you a dime just cause you exist, not ish, so get over it. Admit it, your ideas ain't good as you say if they need to be enforced by the state, okay? And that's the Ancap rap. The government has a monopoly of force and violence. If they don't have that, they're not the state. So you can call yourself a humanitarian, but if you want the government to force something across the board, how can you be if that is through coercion and initiation of violence? Or they're sending their goons to confiscate your private property if you don't comply. It is involuntary, thus making it immoral. And no, somebody leaving isn't the way to opt out of this quote-unquote social contract that you guys like to throw out there. It is still force. So cut the gimmick, this whole humanitarian, you think you're a humanitarian? No. You're a tyrant and a sucker.
So as you can see, just amazing stuff. That was his Ancap rap. He's with the group Backwordz. They're just coming out with a new single. We're going to have pretty much the first release of it, or we're going to have one of the first releases. We've got the premiere coming up later in this episode. It looks amazing. I think it could really blow up and do really well. So we have Eric July on of Backwordz, and real pleasure to have you on, Eric. And let me ask you first. I see you're wearing the black and yellow there. How did you become an Anarcho-Capitalist?
Well, great question. I spent a lot of time being a hardcore leftist, like a lot of young African Americans are. So I grew up a leftist, and back in college, I started kind of getting into kind of economics, and I read about, Thomas Sowell. He was the guy that really kind of led me to libertarianism. Him and Walter Williams created both of those guys. I read Basic Economics, and it just really changed my life. And they did a great job of highlighting how government pretty much in every form of the marketplace, every form of the economy just screws everything up. Walter Williams started, he led me up to libertarianism in general. Now the only spot where myself, and even though Walter Williams is one of those libertarians that actually believes that the government itself is a corrupt entity, and but he considers it a necessary evil. But myself, I was like, well, I don't think it needs to exist at all, and that's how I kind of became a Ancap. It wasn't really, and it's funny, I tell the story a lot, and people think, oh, well, at some point you read Rothbard, and at some point you read all of these guys, and honestly, that wasn't the case. I became an Ancap, and I wanted abolition of the state long before I'd even picked up a Murray Rothbard book or anything like that. It was really, again, Walter Williams and Thomas Sowell that just led me to libertarianism, and I figured it out for myself.
That's great. Yeah, I'm not sure about Thomas Sowell, but I believe Walter Williams is what we call a minarchist. He believes we need a little bit of evil, just not too much of it. But that's fair. Like if the whole world went to extreme minarchism tomorrow, I would stop doing this podcast. I might mention it from now and then. Hey, it could be even better if we got rid of the last 1% of the government, but otherwise I'd be pretty happy with it. It'd be so much better. And I loved in your rap. I don't remember the exact line, but it was something like, you need a lot less Keens and a lot more Mises. I love that one. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, that's another funny deal. I kind of was studying a lot of like the Chicago school when I first got into economics, the Milton Friedman's, obviously Thomas Sowell. And again, it wasn't until after when I kind of got more educated and more knowledgeable on the Mises base economists, or the Austrian economists, such as Mises and then Rothbard and Hayek and all of these guys. So my story in itself and kind of my path and how I got here is very, very unorthodox. But again, I do credit those guys for kind of leading me to where I'm at today. They kind of gave me the key, and they let me realize that I was in the cage. So yeah, here I am.
Yeah, that's great. I think it was Thomas Sowell just had his 80th birthday the other day. It was one of them. I don't mean they both look like
80. I think literally both of them I think are the same exact age.
Yeah. I looked into getting them. We have a conference called Anarchapulco. Actually, we were talking about having you down this year, but you had some legal difficulties.
Yes.
But it sounds like you might not next year, so I'm hoping we can get you booked for that. And the reason why is, and I want to actually get back into more about how you got into this and all that kind of stuff, but I also want to get right into this new track, because it's seriously bumping. I think it could go really mainstream and do really well, and if it does, a lot of people will hear lines like a lot less Keens, a lot more Mises, lines like that, and go, what does that mean? And do a little Google search, and there you go. So let's play the track right now. It's like one of the world premieres of this track. Amazing track.
In Iowa, New Hampshire, the race is very, very... They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists. The big lie is the greed and recklessness and illegal behavior of Wall Street. Where who have been killed by police officers, there needs to be a concerted effort for President of the United States.
I'm living with the gimmick and wins from beginning to end. No gimmick, if I rap it, dude, I live it then. And you can't do it, so ain't no need for mimicking. I'm not innocent, I'm on a mission, so let me finish it. Matter of time before they summon the army in. I'm probably on the FBI's most wanted list. I'm probably going to hung like Oppressor of the government. It's dumb and I'm beyond pissed, so we gon' cut to the chase and get rid of metaphorical nonsense. None of that eloquent bogusness. I want you to know what it is, sucker kid. Y'all people keep voting now. The rock killers now about to die. I be on my phone and trust the sky. You were told the phone just getting tied to the ride. Make a mistake after mistake after mistake. Believe me, this ain't the typical older government's corrupt, bro. That's too easy. You gotta take responsibility because you willingly give power to the state when it's the state that is your enemy. Stuck on stupid, you gotta be on it. Cry about violence, but they got a monopoly on it. And you keep on buying into what that man say, not knowing that every man takes just expands the state. Look around and tell me what you see, because it's coming down, coming down. Are you listening? Stop and look, this is what I mean. Yeah, it's going down, it's going down. Now look, it ain't really hard to keep up. The politicians just hypnotize you with free stuff. More and more statism, and y'all people just eat up. You're crying and you protesting about the police suck. You don't get no sympathy from me, 'cause that's the bad that you lie, so you gotta lie. I want the system by the time, make a mistake after mistake after mistake. And sometime you gotta realize that the same crap that you despise might be your demise. And I advise that you become more knowledgeable on subjects like economics that benefit not memes on the internet. So when you mad and you get so combative, you gotta step back and take a stab at your voting habits. The average man don't understand that he don't know. You can be free and be a slave, but you can't be both. Look around and tell me what you see, because it's coming down, coming down. Are you listening? Stop and look, this is what I mean. Yeah, it's going down, it's going down. Open your eyes. The state you're in is a state of mind. Freedom disguised. The state you're in is a state of mind. So they wanting a savior. Yeah, every day we go through voluntary exchanges. They say who gon' build the roads without taxation. So you give them a reason to confiscate my payments. And that's exactly what the state needs. For you to think you need them, but it's fake. See, maybe you see that they are what they swore to prevent. A monopolized corporation. It's called government. Look around and tell me what you see, because it's coming down, coming down. Are you listening? Stop and look, this is what I mean. Yeah, it's going down, it's going down. Open your eyes. The state you're in is a state of mind. Freedom disguised. The state you're in is a state of mind. Oppressor of the government. Oppressor of the government.
So that just came out this week. We were one of the first to get it. And tell us a little bit about the track. And you really went full Ancap on this. You got your black and yellow on there, and you got some amazing singer on the track. And it sounds like it has a great potential. So I wish you luck with it as it comes out this week. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, it's Backwordz in general has been a long time coming. I was in Fire from the Gods. They're on the Rise Records right now. I was under that band, and split ways was a lot of, I mean, really, it's funny, the economics of just being in the band was kind of what led me from that band, and just really being, I guess, trying to keep it real also was a big thing with me as well, and the reason why I left that band. And I spent a year, well, basically half a year kind of putting this project together, Backwordz. And it's funny, the other instrumentalists they had just left, same idea, signed band. They had just left their band, and we were like, look, man, let's form a project in which we mix a bunch of different elements. So, we got together, we came out with Grindstone, we came out with Elitism, and everybody got all stoked. And, we had on the second single, we had added Alex, who is our bassist and the other vocalist who does a lot of the clean vocalists. And, he's kind of same idea, on a path to libertarianism. And it was like a hand in glove fit. And we pretty much decided that the next song that we did, we were going to go all out. Everybody was stoked. We had already announced our album would be releasing pretty much this summer. And we wanted to hit them hard. So we reached out to our buddy Craig Mabbitt, we're on the same management team. Obviously, Escape the Fate is a huge band. They've done just about everything you can think of. And we reached out to him. He was like, look, let's do it. And, it came together. And I told myself, look, we're not going to do any kind of metaphors or anything like that. We're going to give it to them straight cut, raw. We don't care how. And the unfortunate thing about us is that we've been knocking down pretty much every label for this reason, because we want to give it to you raw. We want to give it to you straight like it is, and we want to really start to planting that seed into the minds of people to get them thinking about maybe a society without government, without state, and just make them become, I guess, more knowledgeable, or at least plant that seed to allow them to want to go just research it. Or what is anarcho-capitalism? Why do they have this black and yellow? Why does this guy have on black and gray? What does those colors mean? So, and unfortunately in entertainment, libertarians and anarchists, we don't have a lot of representation. So I almost feel like a sense of responsibility, and I'm carrying it on my shoulders to really put this out, because I do believe, like you kind of mentioned, once we start infiltrating entertainment and we cross over into mainstream, it'll create this trendy effect, and I think it's off to the races from there.
Yeah, I agree. It's interesting, though, isn't it? Because rap music at its core is fairly anarchist. I mean, like, fuck the police, like, yes, I agree completely. Right. Fuck the police. But they don't fully go all the way. They understand, and they complain. They talk about it all the time about how much the government sucks, how much the cops suck. Usually cops, for the most part. But they never really fully go the full way and understand the full anarchist philosophy. And I think but for the most part, I think if you sat down with most rappers, except for maybe Snoop Dogg, because he seems to have really sold out with his anti-gun song last year. Right, that was weird. Turn in your guns, y'all. What? Right. Actually, he was just on a major YouTube ad that was out on April Fool's Day. I don't know if you saw that, where you can. Anyway, so I think he's sold out to the dark side. But most rappers would, if you or I sat down with them and just talked about what we're talking about anarchy, I think 95% would probably go, yeah, that sounds totally, yeah, that's what I am. But they've never really thought about the philosophy. So it's great that you're kind of merging the two and really being outspoken about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's pretty much my number one goal at this point, because a lot of guys, definitely a lot of young African Americans that I talk to, that I grew up around, we didn't learn about libertarianism. We didn't learn about anarchism or anything like that. It was pretty much, and I think at this point it's just pretty much indoctrinated that we support leftist big government spending or government expansion. And we support that. It's just what it is. Republicans are racist. All of that. It's just stuff we kind of grew up on. It doesn't make any sense when you look at the historical aspects of government. And I wrote an article over at Being Libertarian about this, how African Americans, considering history, they should all adopt libertarianism, because since day one, when we came over in slave ships, like Virginia enacted those slave codes, so they wanted. Right from the jump, it was statism. It was the government implementing laws to set you, I guess, apart from your white counterparts. And after that, even with the abolition of slavery, we talk about Supreme Court cases like Plessy versus Ferguson, Dred Scott v. Sanford, and all of these Supreme Court cases, Jim Crow laws, the black codes, the government. This is the government essentially mandating racism. But again, because people aren't knowledgeable, I asked my fellow African Americans about, like, who is Walter Williams? They don't know who he is. So I think if we can, and that's my goal, to infiltrate entertainment, to get people thinking about these kinds of alignments, because they think it's one or the two. You got to be a Democrat, you got to be a Republican, and government is just there. It has to be there, and it really doesn't. And I think my goal is to really break that down for those people, just to. Even though, I went out there, I got my education, I'm from the streets, I'm from the gut, I grew up doing all of this nonsense so I can relate to them, and not just the African Americans, just anybody in general. My goal is to, because I can read, maybe if I read a Murray Rothbard book or a Walter Williams book or a Hayek book, I can read these books and I can read through the jargon, whereas the average person might not be able to read to it. My deal is I want to break it down for the common man to understand, definitely the youth, because I do think if we get those guys, it won't take nothing but a generation or two for us to really, really begin to adopt some of this philosophy.
Yeah, maybe doing a Bonics version of economics in one lesson.
There you go.
It's like, yo, seriously, dog, check it out. Market's better because...
Yeah, exactly. No, seriously, like dead serious. Like maybe that's what we do. That's what Ancap rap kind of started as. Because I'm like, all right, if I put it on paper, or I put it on a post, you're not gonna listen to it. But as soon as I put it behind a beat, people are like, listen to rap, they're like, man, that was cool. That line that you said about Bernie Sanders was something, to think of. But again, that's the way you gotta, and I think that's where libertarianism, where we really haven't done the greatest job in really breaking it down for those guys. So even to the outsiders, when we talk about libertarianism, they all assume that it's just this, and it is predominantly, definitely in America, it's predominantly white folks that adopt it, but that doesn't really mean anything. I think if we can break it down for them to simply understand it, it doesn't mean you have to sugarcoat it or treat them like they're stupid. It's just that cultures do exist. And if we just infiltrate those cultures with the same exact message as we were talking to somebody with a high IQ or a very intellectual person, they'll understand it, and then we'll off to the races from them. But that's what the other alignments, the Democratic Socialists, the Conservatives, that's where they've done a great job, is they can attract those people because they're able to infiltrate the culture and break it down for them. And I think that's where we failed, and that's why I feel a sense of responsibility to break it down to those folks. Because I can cross the different cultures. I can go to Fox News and talk about the minimum wage and whatnot, or I can go deep in the hood and speak to a bunch of young African Americans about this alignment. So I do feel a sense of responsibility to get that word out.
Yeah, totally. And while most African Americans wouldn't probably know who Walter White is, they probably know, or William White is, they probably know who Walter White is of Breaking Bad.
Right.
And so you're kind of right. Like the entertainment is really important. That's why they own Hollywood. All the people who control the government, they own Hollywood, and they own the music industry. And so they just want to make sure they keep getting their message out there, and the people never realize there's a third option, freedom, and it's way better.
Right.
And I think the rap community is just wide open for it. It's just ripe for it, as I pointed out. You could go to a rap concert, everyone would agree, yeah, fuck the police, but they haven't taken it to the full step to understanding it. I'd love to see like a rap concert where everyone's got black and yellow on, like fuck the government, right?
Exactly. No, that's my thing. I would much rather. That's why I'm rocking out these colors all the time, because I want people to at least ask me about it. What does that mean? I was at Target earlier today, and somebody asked me like, what does that represent? I broke it down to them. Anarcho-Capitalism. Look it up. Go read, Anatomy of State by Murray Rothbard, and you'll start to, open your eyes to what this actually is and what government actually is. But yeah, we have to infiltrate the culture, because I really do feel as if that's where we have lacked. Libertarians, anarchists, that's where we lacked. We haven't really done the greatest job. We do have a lot of intellectuals, and don't get me wrong, there's a place for all that, because the same goes for them. There might be an intellectual person who's not going to listen to Ancap rap and take it seriously. So I think we have to hit them from all angles, and I really do feel a sense of responsibility to do that. I think with this single, Statism is going to start getting people to think about that. Definitely, it's the same that goes with the punk rock culture and the metal culture. It's seems like not anymore, but definitely with punk rock back in the Gap, it was always anti-establishment. I think a lot of these guys are Bernie Sanders supporters now, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But I think it's not as wide open as rap is, but I do think it's open out there, so we can really start infiltrating that and start really talking about that, which is why I wanted to come up with a band that does it all. Yeah, we rap, but we also sing, and we're also heavy as hell. So we're hitting you from all angles. You got the metal hardcore aspect, you got the rap aspect. And it's like you said, the hardcore status. They control Hollywood. They control pretty much how music goes as well. And that's why we don't sign deals. And that's why we pretty much refuse to sign a deal at this point. Even though we had offers coming left or right, it's always been, you know what, no, because we want to keep our hands on it. Because I know the minute they get their hands on it, I mean, considering what we're talking about, they're not going to want that. So for sure, we're going to keep it going. I think Statism is going to be a huge track for this movement. And definitely with us having our Craig Mabbitt on there representing a guy that's done a lot. You know, you're talking about Warped Tour on up. You know, they've been very, 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 very successful in their career. And to have him a part of this was a great, big shout out to him. And I do think he's going to bring in that culture as well. So we got all these different cultures that are going to come together and listen to this song. And it really does have a chance. And I really hope that my fellow anti-state, even my minarchists, you know, my anti-state folk and my minarchists just, you know, take this and be like, oh man, here it is, spread the word. So hopefully it does have that trendy effect.
Yeah, totally. And you mentioned something that I've said a lot on this program is if you're an anarchist or anarcho-capitalist out there, find a way to get it out there, whether it be if you're good at music like Eric is, or even different forms of music. If you're a country singer, you know, like my wife left me, my dog just died, fuck the government, or something. Or
right.
Taxation is theft.
Right. No, there you go. Like, and that's the same. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad we're on the same page with that, because everybody has a craft. I don't care who you are. I believe everybody has some type of God-given ability, you know, in which they can spread this word, you know. So do it, rock it out. And no matter what you do, I have buddies that are, you know, he's a cartoonist, you know, rock that out. He does Freedom Tunes. Shout out to him. Seamus, he does that. You know, he's putting the word out there from a visual aspect. So no matter what your craft is, you can utilize it to spread the word. And really, because we're like dead last in terms of people that adopt this ideology, we need as much help as we can get. So I absolutely encourage everybody to put the word out there.
Absolutely. I've had on 3 Hollywood producers now who are all anarchists. They're working on pretty outspoken anarchist type stuff. They'll probably have to go indie, of course, once you get too outspoken, just like you were mentioning. You mentioned comics. I've had on, I believe the comic's called V is for Voluntary. So they're putting out those comics. So yeah, get it all out there everywhere. And this stuff will just start to seep in. And it really doesn't take long until once someone looks into it, just for even a few minutes, for them to go, yeah, that makes sense, and then they'll look into it a bit more maybe, or even if they don't, they already got it in their heads. So like, yeah, libertarianism at the very least, yeah, seeds planted, and what you can't unlearn, so you can't you know, go back once you learn something. So I actually see this spreading very rapidly now, and I'm crossing my fingers your track goes multi-platinum essentially. And for everyone watching this, when it does come out, we'll have the links down below. We'll get Eric to tell us where to go to find out where you can support him. But make sure you, once you see it, even if you don't like rap music, doesn't matter. It's about getting this out there. Is share it, like it, send it to people. And you know, we had on another one, Rob Hustle, anarcho-capitalist rapper who did what was it? Something about police brutality. You know the one? Oh, it's really good. You should check it out.
Please send me that.
Can't believe I forgot the name off the top of my head. I had it on I played it every morning for like all last year. Anyway, I totally can't remember at the moment, but when he came on, he had about 100,000 views on YouTube, and an amazing video. I just look up Rob Hustle. Something the cops. Oh man, I can't believe I forgot. Anyway, he only had about 100,000 views, and now it's like tens of millions of views. And I'm not saying it's all because he was on our program, but I know that it helped because I know all the anarchist community all of a sudden just loved the track and started to share it. And that's all it takes to sort of get that movement going. So definitely when Eric tells us where to go at the end of this, please like, subscribe, and share to it, because that's how we can get this out there. And of course, if you really like the music, which I do, you know, buy the album or do whatever you can. I don't know where you're selling it or whatever, and you can tell us that. let's just sort of go back a little bit, because it is so interesting about the black community in the U.S. It's such a unique community in a way. There's black people all over the world. There's lots in Africa, of course, and they're all over the place. But it seems in the U.S. there's this real issue. It's like, and it's all caused by the state, as you pointed out. It started with the slavery, and then it was 100 years of just hell on earth for Africans. And then afterwards, they couldn't do anything. They had to sit in the back of the bus. Rosa Parks had to go sit in the front. And then now, and here's the thing, and that's why we have to explain to them a little bit. And I'm not saying we're talking down to them, but they just don't know this, and we have to get this information to them. Is that things like minimum wage just destroys jobs. Things like welfare destroys communities. It just makes people not want to advance themselves. And after that gets going generational, it just gets really terrible. The war on drugs, heinous for the African American community, all caused by the government. If it was all decriminalized, you would have the economy would be amazing, by the way, and there'd be so much more jobs. And if there was no minimum wages, everyone would be rich, basically.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so it's, targeting that area is ripe pickings, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, I'm right there with you. I think and we have to do a great job, and that is another thing that I feel a sense of responsibility to do, because it's going to be, they're not gonna take it as well coming from some white guy that they feel like they can't relate to. So again, I grew up gangbanging. I grew up doing a lot of nonsense, typical lifestyle that's very familiar to a lot of African Americans. Single parent household, father not there, same old nonsense. So we always talk about, or I always talk about government and how if and it's funny that a lot of African Americans know that. Definitely these guys that like to go over and call themselves pro-black and conscious. They understand this, but I don't think they miss it, and they take a complete left turn is when we start talking about like the actual solution. Because I don't think they even understand what they want. They just see the problem. Our police are targeting us, which is what they feel. Now that's true and not true in a lot of cases, but they feel as if they're being targeted by police. Okay, what's the solution? Well, we just got to get a guy like Bernie Sanders, and he's gonna, got to get the right guy in there. No, it's the entity itself is what's caused the issue. So it doesn't even matter if Bernie Sanders gets in there. Who, again, I don't believe that he has the best intentions of black people, for black folks. But it doesn't matter who it is. It's a monopoly on force. It's a monopoly on violence. It will always be sought after by the corrupt. And they have historically used it against black people, even in ways because they got smart after slavery got abolished. People started waking up to that. Jim Crow laws were starting to kind of fizzle out. Or you had the black codes kind of fizzle out, and people started using things like the minimum wage to price, like Bacon Davis Act, literally pricing black people to price them out of the market. So you're talking about entities that, the government itself has been using these programs that are kind of welfare as well. I can't remember if it was Walter Williams or if it was Thomas Sowell who mentions, I think it was Sowell, that mentions that the welfare in this country did what hundreds of years of slavery, Jim Crow could never do, and that was break up the black family. And that's exactly what it did. I mean, we got like 70+% of black babies being born out of wedlock, having no fathers around. I mean, obviously we lead the country in abortion rates, and then we start talking about employment rates and how the black youth unemployment, every time we raise the minimum wage, it's always at the top in terms of demographics. So I don't think these guys actually understand this, how government has been historically used to oppress us, but the end game isn't to get the right people in office to use this ring to initiate force on everybody else. That's not the solution, because that's going to get you right back at square one. The solution is obviously, all right, well, what is it? It's the entity, the government, that has been used historically to oppress black people. Why don't we just get rid of that? That way they can't do anything to us. You know what I mean? So, or it's going to be significantly more harder for them to do something to us, because again, government, it's a monopoly on force and violence, and they can use that in ways that the regular individual cannot. That's all government is, a bunch of delegated individuals with rights other individuals don't have. So I feel like if they understood this, they would be more, subject to kind of adopt libertarianism and adopt, kind of an anti-state mentality, or just because right now they're anti-state to a sense, but then again, once you start talking about the actual solutions in the end game, they take that hardcore left and they start advocating for big government, which is why they go around and support the Democratic Party election after election.
Yeah, they got to be waking up at some point. After 8 years of having a half-black president, and I don't know if you remember, Eric, but I remember very well how so many African Americans just thought everything's going to be great now. And I just remember the name of Rob Hustle's video, by the way. It's called Call the Cops. And it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. And I don't know if it's because there's more smartphones now or if it was always that bad, but it's just been brutal. And it's not just black people, but a lot of them are black people, but it's everybody. They're just getting hunted out there on the streets. So you'd think that some people would be starting to wake up, but they just don't have this information. So that's the key, is to get them just a few little bits, like just a little poke in the ribs. The problem is the government, the whole thing. That's the problem.
Right. No, that's perfectly put. That's actually the issue. It's not the people that are in it. It's the entity itself. It is the government that is the problem. So the solution is to get rid of that. Like it's a cancer. You get rid of the cancer. You don't try to put another cancer in there. You just get rid of it. So absolutely, the information just. It has to be broken down too, because I remember vividly growing up. I knew absolutely nothing about libertarianism growing up, nothing about it. I had no idea what it was until I literally hit college and I started reading about Sowell and Walter Williams. That's when it clicked for me. So I didn't even know what it was, or I knew what it was, and definitely me at some point living in Ron Paul's district helped a lot as well. I heard the term, but I didn't really know, what it was. I couldn't connect the dots. So having guys like Walter Williams, Ron Paul's another one, me being out in Texas and seeing him represent for as long as he has, and just the consistency really is impressive with Ron. But the information has to get put out there to them for them to understand it. And once we put that information out there and we infiltrate that culture, I really do seriously think they'll start to more so adopt the alignment. But we have to do a better job of really just getting that information out to them, because that's where the other alignments really just beat us. And now we're starting to gain more numbers. We have a lot of intellectuals, people are doing podcasts left to right, getting that information out there. We're starting to see a little more, a couple more entertainers, rappers popping up here and there that are starting to talk about anti-state. I'm trying to do that, as well as infiltrate it from just the whole punk and hardcore and metal scene as well, So we're getting better, and these people with internet being able to connect us, we have to use that to our advantage. And a lot of people do have these skill sets, as we mentioned earlier on. And once we just keep infiltrating culture, again, I believe just like anything, a trendy effect will take place, and we can really start talking about abolition state.
Absolutely. I can totally see it starting to happen. It's really going to be an exciting few years. Going to be interesting as well. They're really trying to keep this information out of people's hands and trying to shut down whatever they can. But once there's enough of us, they just really can't, unless they shut off the internet, which they might. They might get that bad.
Right.
Seriously, that is an option. That's why they keep talking about the internet kill switch, because they're like, okay, we can't stop this now. Let's just yank the power, yank the internet, go in with the tanks, go in with the SWAT teams, do the FEMA camps, get everything cleared out, start the government indoctrination camps again, tell everyone about the great victory in 2016 when they defeated the terrorist freedom fighters. And going back to the African American community and the problem with cops, you mentioned just before we were on that you just watched my interview with Dale Brown of Threat Management. We just got to get that out there. It's like they know there's a problem with the cops. I think everyone almost knows that now, except for some just old people who sit in their house and just think they're still like they were in the 50s, just out there kind of helping you out. They don't do that. They shoot your dog is what they do now. So. if we could just get that information out there to them and go, there is other ways. Look at threat management. Let's get that in our community and get the cops out and just basically tell the cops to get out. And I know they have done that in certain parts, but just tell them there's another option, the private sort of security services and things like that. And in the episode just before you, we had Virgil Vaduva of Cell 411, which is a new app for your phone, which essentially negates all need for the police. Essentially, if you have a problem, it's like 911 on your phone, but it's called 411, and all your friends, family, anyone in the area knows you're getting mugged or whatever instantly, and they'll probably do a better job than most cops in getting there quick. And as Flavor Flav said, that's interesting too, right? Flavor Flav, what was that, like 25 years ago, 911 is a joke. So even back then, it was like, yeah, this stuff is a joke. It's horrible, but they don't know there's another solution. So that's the next step.
Absolutely. No, that's really the next step is breaking down the solutions and putting it to them to make them or just allow them to understand what it is. Because when I start talking about abolition of state, when you're talking about people that have for 20, 30, 40 years have been led to believe that government has to be there, it's going to be very hard for them to kind of recognize that no, it does not have. It's been there, but they've also been the source of probably 99% of our issues. So that's a tough thing to do. But we do have to, kind of create. And this is why I love our intellectuals out there, because they do a great job. And when I start at least getting them thinking, I can send them to them. And I can send those guys to books about a lot of these guys and say, all right, well, how would the society be with that? How would roads get built? All right, well, Walter Block wrote this great excerpt on that. So I can put this and give this information to them. But I do really think that once we first infiltrate it, put it in their face like, hey, there's a solution. We don't have to keep getting our ass whooped by the cops everywhere we turn. That does not have to happen. We don't have to keep getting screwed over by false politicians who fill you up with false promises. We don't have to keep doing that. There's a solution. So we just have to kind of put that in their face, show them that there is an alternative to having this government. And the alternative is not getting the right people in office. It's not the alternative. You know what I mean? It's like, get them the hell out of the way. So once we start talking about these things, I really do feel as if we're going to be on to something. And we're getting there. We are getting there. I believe we've made great strides. I look at from last year to now, we've made great strides, so we're picking up the pace, which is what I love about, just libertarianism in general, starting to pick up. I've linked up with a lot of minority libertarians, so, who are of different ethnic backgrounds, and they reach out to me, man. I get all this type of crap for being an Asian, but and that's cool to me. That's just so awesome to me that a lot of people are starting to wake up to this foolishness, because those guys are going to be the guys that are going to be able to bridge that gap with other people who are just like them, because we're all about familiarity. That's how we are, just as creatures in nature. Black folks hang around a bunch of black folks, and it's not just with color or anything like that. It's just with different demographics, different cultures. They hang around each other. So you plant that seed and one person in that culture gets it, they can go spread the news to everybody else that's a part of their particular culture and say, hey, man, let's adopt this. And I think we start creating these trendy effects, man, we're going to really, really be on to something.
Yeah, I really think we are. And you pointed out how it's changed. Yeah, a year ago it was a lot smaller. And when I first got into this and started doing this podcast was around 2010, 2011. There was hardly anything on the internet. There was a few people. Larkin Rose was out there. Of course, LouRockwell.com. But that was pretty much it. Stefan Molyneux, and now Stefan's sort of retired and kind of gone mainstream or whatever, which is fine.
Right.
I can kind of understand. I don't want to do this forever either, but it does get a little tiring. But and also it doesn't pay a lot.
That's true.
Yeah, but. It's just it's going exponential almost. So it could you look back at some sort of revolutions, and I'm not saying this is going to be a revolution. It's going to be an evolution. Humanity is actually going to get back to where it should be, which is free and not being owned by other people. So it's going to be an evolution. But if you look back at other revolutions, it's something that you don't even expect sets it off, right? So it could be your track coming out this way. This could be it. It could be some other guy just did a great video that exposed something about the government, and then he mentioned anarchy or whatever, libertarianism, and boom, and now 100 million views, and just you know, the viral effects are amazing. So so glad you're on our team, man, and looking forward to seeing the video out and the new album this summer, and hopefully we'll see you at Anarchapulco next year as our headline act. And if so, I really want to get together like a really amazing concert going, and we'll actually market it here in Mexico because people here love rap as well. So if you don't have anything else you wanted to mention, why don't you just let people know where people can find out about Backwordz and support what you're doing?
Absolutely. Well, we're everywhere. Backwordz is BACKWORDZ. iTunes, Spotify, we're on all of that. You can also, you know, Facebook is, and really, I believe all of our social media is going to be Backwordz. Music is going to be the tag. So I believe that's our twitter.com/backwardsmusic, facebook.com/backwardsmusic, as well as Instagram. And we're very, very good at updating. You can follow me as well. Eric D. July is my Twitter handle, and Eric July Texas is my Facebook, and I update that Facebook every day. So whatever we have going on, whether it be shows, if we're coming to your town, whether it be new music or, you know, what I'm doing, you know, if I'm going to speak here, speak there, you can find out all of that. And really for me, yes, we sell everything that we do. And that would be great to make, you know, I'm comfortable, man. Like I'm good.
You got a couch and a plastic cup. You're good.
Yeah, you know, I'm good. But right now, I know I feel like a lot of musicians maybe say this, but yes, I do want to be taken care of financially at some point, but right now that's not where I'm at. So it'd be great if you can, you know, go to iTunes and go buy a Backwordz single. I believe last month we made a lot of money, which was great. The support, I appreciate that.
Awesome.
However, it'll mean a lot more to me if we can just spread that. You know, no matter how you get it. We have several music videos on YouTube already. Utopias Don't Exist is the latest. Obviously, my Ancap raps are there, but Utopias Don't Exist is the latest. It is an anti-state kind of song. It's not full-blown like Statism is. But when Statism comes out, that'll be kind of the product from a visual standpoint and a lyrical standpoint. So it'll mean a lot more to me if, you know, yeah, that's cool if you can go buy it on iTunes, you know, put a little money in my bandmates' pockets, you know, and help us out so we can keep putting this product out. That is great. But it means a lot more to me if you can just see that video, share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, show it to your friends, show it to your mama. You know, to me, that means a lot more than just, you know, cashing out and getting that stuff. And it's funny because this album was actually crowdfunded. We had the whole GoFundMe deal going. It was crowdfunded, and a lot of people pitched in, which, again, that's what it's all about. We're talking about voluntary exchanges, man, getting this information out there. That is so awesome to me, and I appreciate that. If you can, for the sake of my bandmates, you can go buy that stuff, but I would rather, if I had to choose between one or the two, I'd rather you just share the freaking video to everybody you know, as opposed to actually going to purchase the single. At some point, we'll get there. Yeah, maybe I need a little more money. We'll get there. But right now, it's about spreading the message.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to have all the links that Eric just mentioned down below. Click on them all, like it, follow, subscribe, share. Let's just blast this out there, and because it's a great track. It really, I think it could do incredibly well. But all these things need a certain amount of momentum to get going, and let's, all of us Ancaps, let's do that and get that out there. So please support Eric. And if you're an Eric fan, you're just watching this and you're like, I don't know what anarchism is or whatever. If you have enjoyed this conversation, Eric is probably going to be performing at Anarchapulco next year, and it's end of February 2017. You can come on down, and it'll also be 4 days of parties talking about all these kind of things, about solutions to fix this fucking planet. So it's just anarchapulco.com. Check that out. Real pleasure. I had a lot of fun talking to you, Eric. So if you like this, again, just like, subscribe, share. That's how we can get this out there. That's just click. I see you sitting there on the couch. You're like not wearing a shirt. You're eating chips. Just click right there. Just do it. And it helps everyone out, and it gets out there more. So that's it for Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. Peace, love, and anarchy.
This is what happens when you call the cops. Say what? This is what happens
happens when you call the cops. Come on. This is what happens when you call the cops. You get your rights violated or you all get shot.
This is what happens when you call the cops. This is what happens when you call the cops. This is what happens when you call the cops. You get your rights violated or you all get shot.
I'm sick of people being victimized by criminal cops. Psychopathic predators terrorizing neighborhood blocks. Equipped with pepper spray, mace, cuffs, tasers, and glocks. They like serial killers acting out subliminal thoughts. Forget what you taught.
Yeah, a divine comedy, but this is no joke. They'll likely try to sign me. I'm Interscope dope, but that's not why I'm rhyming. This is my soul's goal. Third eye shining with the indigo glow. Most of the time my feelings don't show. Trying to figure out how to fix myself and how to heal the whole globe. Listen, the whole world is a stage. Hey,
From Acapulco, Mexico, this is Anarchast.